At the family dinner, my husband secretly put something on my plate, and my mother-in-law signaled him with her eyes. I just smiled and the whole table froze exactly 5 minutes later. My husband thought I didn't see his hand move over my plate. My mother-in-law thought her tiny nod was invisible. And everyone at that dinner table thought I was too polite, too soft, and too in love to understand what was happening. But when I smiled instead of screaming, Ryan's face changed. Because for the first time that night he realized I wasn't walking into his trap. He was. The Bennett dining room looked like something from a magazine. A long glass table. Gold-rimmed plates. White roses. Candles burning low. Outside, Dallas was drowning in rain, but inside that mansion, everything looked warm, rich, and safe. Nothing in that house was safe. Ryan sat beside me in a dark suit, playing the perfect husband. His mother, Margaret Bennett, sat across from me with her diamonds shining under the chandelier. She had the kind of smile that made insults sound like concern. "Claire," she said softly, "you look tired again." That word was the first knife. For weeks, Margaret had been using it in front of relatives, doctors, and family friends. "Claire seems confused again. Claire looks emotional again. Claire forgot something again." She was building a story about me before I even knew I was the main character. Then Ryan leaned toward me, pretending to fix the napkin beside my plate. His fingers moved once. Quick, controlled. Something small disappeared from his palm and into my food. Across the table, Margaret gave him one tiny nod. I saw it. Ryan turned to me with his sweet public smile. "You should eat before it gets cold." I looked down at the plate. Then I looked at him. And I smiled. "Of course," I said. His fork froze halfway to his mouth. 3 weeks earlier I would have missed it. I would have believed the soft voice, the expensive flowers, the apology dinner. But 3 weeks earlier my company password had been entered wrong 6 times from Ryan's laptop. 2 weeks earlier, a document with my forged signature appeared in a family lawyer's file. 10 days earlier I heard Margaret whisper in the hallway, "If Claire breaks down in front of witnesses, Ryan can petition for control before she ruins everything." That night I stopped sleeping beside my husband. And I started documenting him. I called Grace Miller, the attorney who had protected my company long before I married into the Bennett family. Grace told me one thing. Do not confront them too early. Let them finish the story they're trying to write. So I waited. And now, at that table, their story was finally writing itself. Minute 1. Ryan watched my fork like it was a courtroom verdict. I lifted it, then gently set it back down. Margaret's smile tightened. "Claire," she said, "are you feeling nervous?" "No," I said. "I feel very clear." Ryan swallowed. Minute 2. His brother, Daniel, looked up from his wine. "Is something going on?" Margaret gave a sad little laugh. "We've all been worried about Claire lately. She has not been herself." There was the setup, the audience, the witnesses. If I reacted, I was unstable. If I cried, I was fragile. If I accused them, I was paranoid. So I did none of those things. I sat still. Sometimes power is not raising your voice. Sometimes power is making evil feel comfortable enough to keep talking. Minute 3. Ryan placed his hand over mine. It looked loving. Felt like a warning. "Claire," he said gently, "maybe after dinner we should talk about letting me help with your business responsibilities for a while." Margaret looked around the table as if she were heartbroken. "She needs rest," she said. "A woman under pressure can imagine all kinds of things." I almost laughed. Imagine. That was the word they had chosen for the truth. If you were sitting at that table watching your husband and his mother turn your own sanity into a weapon, what would you do? Would you expose them right there or wait until their lie had nowhere left to hide? Minute 4. My phone lit up beside my water glass. One message from Grace. "Ready." Ryan saw the screen before I turned it over. For the first time all night his confidence cracked. "Who is texting you?" he asked. I looked at him calmly. "Someone who believes me." Margaret's face went pale. The doorbell rang. Minute 5. The entire table went silent. Rain hit the windows harder. No one moved. Even the candles seemed to stop flickering. The housekeeper opened the front door, and Grace Miller walked into the dining room wearing a black coat and holding a sealed evidence bag. Ryan stood so quickly his chair slammed backward. "What is this?" he snapped. Grace did not look at him. She looked at me. I nodded. She placed the evidence bag in the center of the table. Inside was a dinner plate. Ryan stared at it. Then he looked at the plate in front of me. His mouth opened but no sound came out. Grace said, "The plate Mr. Bennet tampered with was removed before Mrs. Bennet sat down. It has already been photographed, sealed, and will be tested by an independent lab." Margaret whispered, "That's impossible." I turned to her. "You mean inconvenient?" Daniel pushed back from the table. "Ryan, what did you do?" Ryan shook his head. "This is insane. She's setting me up." Grace opened her folder. Actually, the home security cameras recorded Mr. Bennet's hand over the plate. We also have emails, forged documents, and messages discussing a plan to make Mrs. Bennet appear mentally unfit so Mr. Bennet could gain control of her company shares and marital assets. The room went cold. Not quiet. Cold. Margaret's diamonds no longer looked expensive. They looked heavy. Ryan looked at me like I had become a stranger. But I had not changed. He had simply met the woman he failed to fool. Grace continued. "A temporary asset protection order was filed this afternoon. Mr. Bennet has been removed from all accounts connected to Claire's company. Any attempt to alter trust documents, property titles, or business access after tonight will be treated as evidence of financial misconduct." Ryan's voice dropped. "Claire, listen to me. My mother pushed this." I was scared. Margaret turned on him instantly. "Ryan." And there was. The family loyalty they had used against me collapsed in less than 5 seconds. I stood slowly. For 3 years I had eaten at that table while Margaret corrected my clothes, my voice, my background, my worth. For 3 years Ryan smiled when she did it. Now both of them were waiting for me to save them from the truth. I folded my napkin and placed it beside the untouched plate. "You thought my silence meant I was weak," I said. "It meant I was listening." Ryan reached for my hand. I stepped back. "When betrayal wears a wedding ring," I asked, looking at him, "does it deserve forgiveness or consequences?" No one answered. Because everyone already knew. 1 month later, Ryan's petition against me was dismissed before it could destroy my reputation. Margaret lost her position as trustee over the Bennet Family Foundation after Grace submitted the evidence to the board. Ryan's access to my company was permanently revoked, and the forged documents became part of a criminal investigation. The mansion stayed beautiful. The Bennet name stayed powerful. But their control over me ended at that dinner table. People ask why I smiled that night. Here's the truth. I smiled because I had spent weeks being called emotional, unstable, and confused by people who were terrified of one thing. A calm woman with proof. My husband tried to put something on my plate. His mother tried to put a lie on my name. But 5 minutes later I put the truth on the table. And the whole room froze. Moral. Never confuse silence with weakness. Sometimes a quiet woman is not losing. Sometimes she is collecting every piece of proof she needs to walk away free. If this story kept you watching, like this video, subscribe and tell me in the comments. Would you have confronted Ryan immediately or waited until the evidence made the truth impossible to deny?